Good day, everybody. Okay, so now we're starting Act 3. So, like I said yesterday, what's going to happen is I'm going to do the lab first. Just because it's there waiting for me. Although first I'm just going to empty my inventory. Also going to take a load, or get a load of scrolls.
Hello.
Oh, cool. Solaris Lorica. Reduce curse damage taken over time. You know, I'm actually going to wear that just because it is a hell of a lot better. So give me a moment. Oh, wait, no. Back. Let's go talk to Navali as well.
Our paths meet in the shell of a long-dead snail. An empire slow to see where its path was taking it. Built on the husk of another, and destined to be buried time and time again. This city will see great things yet, Exile. But not in your lifetime.
Let's get a whole new load of prophecies. Because there's one that allows you to get 20% straight away on any armor scrap.
An adversary, slain, briefly lives on in the lessons taught to the slayer.
Don't really need to do that. Although it does increase your chances of getting more links and everything, so yeah. Oh. Oh, that sucks. Never mind. Well, rip.
A stranger walks in.
A stranger walks into a town with a lost lover in tow. Sounds like the beginning of a jest, which I bloody wish it were. Problem is, we're still one doe-eyed lover short, which ain't much good to anyone. They tend to come in pairs, you see. Since you seem to be in the good deeds business, how about throwing a tollman into the bargain?
The slums are east of here. Used to house the unwashed of the Empire a couple centuries back. Now it's home to the walking ulcers and sores of this poor city.
Maramua Patua thanks you, son of the Nakurumakoi, for returning our Clarissa to us. She is the gentle heart of this place, a spirit still capable of love in this wasteland of hatred. Yet that gentle heart remains in jeopardy. Tolman isn't deserving of Clarissa, but she'll not smile until he's by her side. There are days when I've questioned the ancestors. Why bring me here, to Rayclast, so far from all that I love? Seeing you vindicates their decision. It is easy to be Karui when you are surrounded by Karui. But to walk the Karui way through this accursed land, that is the true test of a warrior. And as is our fate, our calling demands our sweat and our blood every moment of every day. Help us, cousin. Help us by finding Tolman. Dominus and his Ebony Legion arrived some time ago. Now the blackguards scour Sarn like hungry maggots on a carcass. What are they looking for? Only that which is best left unfound.
Hello. I traveled here through death's darkened halls, walking the paths of the remembered. I am but a memory of the woman I was. A memory treasured and sustained by the Mother of Death. I awoke in the halls of death, with the life I once led little more than a dream half remembered. Yama the White, my furry companion, stood before me with the seeing stone he holds now. Both were given a hair of Hinekora's dark knowledge, but each serves a separate purpose. The seeing stone drags me deep into its core, where every instant into eternity is known all at once, like limitless rings on a tree trunk. Yama, like a torch in the mist, guides me back from the stone's infinite visions. Hinekora, my Mother of Death, is not the only god, Exile. The Karui are watched over by many. Namahu lends us fire, which illuminates the path. Tafor gives us the trees and birds that line the path, so that we may enjoy beauty and peace. Tukohama provides us with weapons and knowledge of war, which lets us walk the path safely. And in the final days of this world, Kitava, whose hunger knows no bounds, will take it all away.
I think there's one other. We got so Clarissa to do, and then Grigor.
Keep your distance, Exile. The name's Grigor, and when you've had your eyes fill of my twisted visage, how about you turn those fine jellies of yours eastward? Yes, you've brought Clarissa home to us, and once again I see she pesters me with pity. There's only so much broth, so many bouquets that a man can take. For a criminal, Clarissa has a strangely soft center. Still, I'd rather not see that heart of hers harden. See if you can find that lost boy mate of hers. With him around, Clarissa doesn't have as much time to bother me.
Death came to town. The roaring Ezomites wore red. The red of blood, the red of the fray. Death came to town. The crying Ezomites wore black. The black of disease, the black of dismay. Death came to town. The silent Ezomites wore grey. The grey of twilight, the grey of decay. Only the Isles of Scoth were spared. Once a backwater of my proud civilization, now all that remains of the Ezomites.
Yes? You're alone. So Tolman's... You didn't go to the crematorium? No, of course you didn't. This isn't your fight. I'm sorry. It was wrong of me to put that on you. To ask you to risk your life for someone you don't even know. Don't worry. I'll work something out. I always do.
Yeah, we'll get him eventually. Okay, to the Aspirant Plaza.
You stand before the gates of the Lord's Labyrinth. Within these walls, the Lady of Justice doth preside. She shall weigh your mind in one hand, your heart in the other. Should she find you wanting, death shall be your sentence. Should she find you worthy, you will be given the loyalty and love of an empire. The Lord's Labyrinth awaits you. Choose wisely, strike quickly, trust completely, and may you find the ending that you deserve.
Right, okay, so that was Zero, and he's a good character.
The goddess is watching.
Okay, so this is a labyrinth then. So it has multiple zones, and you have to go through them to get to Exile. And then at the end, there's some nice big rewards.
An adversary, slain, briefly lives on in the lessons taught to the Slayer.
I'm also 7 levels below the zone. I wonder if I'm actually getting proper XP for this. I might have to actually come back. Oh no, that's fine. Okay, this is an annoying one. Okay, fist, that, and you have to keep on doing that in turn. Cool. Right, but I actually don't need to do that. That's called a gauntlet, and it gets you some additional rewards. But we only need to go through the zone. Kind of tells you how powerful the build is. The fact that we can do this 5 levels under. Although the real test will be Exile himself. Thankfully, the first variant of this is actually really easy. Back in the day, they were all the same, but it's significantly easier and shorter.
The weary traveler draws close to the end of the path.
Okay, we're going to need everything we can, so what are we going to do? We are going to get... get the life while we're here.
Some things that slumber should never be awoken.
Okay, so this is Exile, and we've got the big mall one, and this is really good.
Your path.
This is the easiest version of Exile.
Commit to your course.
Oh,
Apparently, this is the ending you deserve.
okay. If you die, you've got to reset the whole thing. So that was probably a bit too slow, in my opinion. So I'm going to forget about that for the moment and come back in a couple of levels. I think I was a bit too... I felt a bit too safe versus the Vol Oversoul fight, which was very fast. A bit too confident. Okay, so on the left is usually... Oh, okay. On the right here is where Tommen is, but we need a key. So we got to go to the crematorium first. Itself. Okay, here we go. There's a fire theme in here, and there's also a Exile. that's where the trial is. Looks like we've got to go the other direction. I'd imagine we're at 1,000 now. There we go, yeah. Hit 1,000 HP. We'll probably reach about 6,000 by the time we're done.
You're simply too stupid to be realistic, aren't you, brute? Enough of this!
There we go, all done. We don't get to kill Piety yet. She kind of runs away.
Poor Tolman. I made this bracelet for him when he first arrived here. Idiot said he'd never take it off. I called him a liar. He didn't, though. Not once. I need to give you something. I asked a lot of you out there in the slums. More than I should have. You tried. And that's all we exiles can ever hope to do. Those keys unlock the gates to the sewers. Tolman found them. Figure that in the worst of times, people will hide their wealth in the worst of places. We were never game to test his theory. Not with the Undying down there. But you're strong. Stronger than any of us here. I don't think you need to fear the dark.
She's very weepy.
What is it? Sorry, I need some more time to think. We'll talk soon, I promise.
I no longer dream when I sleep. I have a nightmare. The same nightmare over and over. The mirror. It's never my reflection looking back. The first time that mirror appeared to me, it was Cole I saw. a rapist from Oriath I had the displeasure of sharing a pen with in Gravisius' stockade. Piety took him for her experiments, and that night I saw her handiwork while I slept. This time it was Tolman, flesh dried to leather, organs shrunk to husks, blood trickling through his skeleton like red dust in an hourglass. It's Piety's gift to me, that mirror. At least I won't be seeing Clarissa the next time I look into it. Make sure it's not you I see either.
I walked halfway across this forsaken continent because of an ode. Of jewels and eternity, it's called. For twinkled promises of jewels and eternity, the Gemling Queen gave her heart and body to the King of Shades for one more day in the sun. The last day in the sun. That's but a portion of the full epic. The Gemling Queen lived, and she's the enigma behind the fall of the Ezomites and the Eternals both. Look to the Solaris Temple to the northeast. Find the Gemling Queen's remains before Piety does, and destroy them.
Need some help?
Tolman's dead then. Another victim of Piety's cruelty. Perhaps he escaped lightly. Look upon Grigor to see what life entails under Piety's influence. Let me offer you something. In recognition of all that you have done for us. We shall mourn Tolman's death as we shall treasure Clarissa's life.
Yay, okay, so this is where we're gonna pick up probably yeah, we'll take pride.
General Gravisius demand.
Okay, socket that.
Talamoana, Exile.
Oh, she has a lot more to say.
Clarissa will weep for Tolman. She must. The cloud is darkest before the rain. Grigor straddles two worlds. One foot planted on this soil, one in the dirt of spirit and shadow. When you speak with him, be sure to know from which world his words arise. It's an often told story among the Karui, how Vol of Thebris bent his knee to my ancestor, King Calm, and promised freedom in return for war. While Vol raised his purity rebellion in the heart of the Empire, Calm took Lord Lion Eye's head and the southern coast all the way to Siren's Cove. It was the greatest conquest the Karui have ever seen. If I knew how to cross the river safely, I'd be wearing Gravisius' head on my belt.
I'll miss a boy. He was always up for a laugh, whether it was at his expense or not. But I wouldn't miss that Clarissa more. Argan's the name, by the way, and it's my honour to welcome you to Dirty Old Sun, the metropolis of opportunity. The opportunity to make something of yourself, or the opportunity to have a very messy death. Victaria was a poet what ended up leading a rebellion, right under the nose of Emperor Chittis. But here's what really interests me. Our wordsmith was quite a talented larcenist as well. Pulled off the heist of the century, in the name of the people, of course. 3 finely crafted platinum busts, commissioned by Chittis for his favourite trio of generals. Victario and his coppers hold up in the sewers. Now that you have Clarissa's keys, perhaps you'd be inclined to search out those heroic busts for me. I'm sure I can make it well worth your while. I was Clarissa's guardian angel back in Oriath. Put food on the table in return for a bit of light work. I try to keep her out of trouble as best I can here, but Sarn's full of secrets, and Clarissa's full of curiosity. She's just so ample, is our Marimore. In my mind, you'll find no saucier specimen of womanhood. It's her tattoos and that fancy talk she does. Intoxicating. She's a cool one, though. I can't imagine what that poor bastard's been through. It's a miracle Gregor hasn't completely lost his mind. Granted, he's lost one or two pieces along the way, but there's still plenty that's worth listening to. Gravisius is the mailed and bloodied right hand of Dominus, and I thought the Templar were meant to be spiritual men of deepest humanity. You notice the sarcasm in my tone, right? Had to smuggle a fellow out of Theopolis once. Got a bit too friendly with Gravisius' wife, he did. Every blackguard was out on the streets looking for him, so I had to think lateral-like. We took to the drains and didn't put our heads above the pavement until we sniffed the sea. A grubby bloody job it was, but worth it for the coin he paid. You want a piece of Gravisius? Sometimes the only way up is down. I'm no history scholar, but I know that Emperor Chitus was overthrown by Vol of Thebris in the so-called Purity Rebellion. But Vol had the shortest reign of any internal emperor. The cataclysm sort of that.
Might want to see if we can get a better weapon now. In fact, let's look on the trade market. Two-handed mace and Vossmall. There we go. Joffrey's baptism. It's a 5-link one. I mean, we can always try and make a 5-link. I have a ton of fusings. Someone sells one for like a couple chaos. Might as well pick it up. Yeah, 2 chaos. Alright. Let's see if we'll go for it then. One stack, 2.
Mate.
Hello. The bishop's flock is long gone, yet still he wields his hefty crook. A chest of goods hides many challenges, but one goes unseen, even to the wise.
others. Ooh, one divine. Yeah. Bloody hell. If this is this guy on? Keep both in there, but if we get a cheap 6-link weapon, to be honest, there's only so far we can take it, but even so, like, it's worth more than a divine. Right, I have to go to the loo for the moment. I'll be back in a second. Right, okay, I'm back. It's the same as the divine. Oh, that's convenient. Oh. Okay, never mind then. But this is actually even cheaper than a divine. So it's there about 13 chaos? Okay, well, let that stew. And we'll go ahead to the sewers. Because this episode is dragging along. probably have... We'll probably have those on for the moment. Eventually we'll get rid of Helderbash. Bust one. Two. It's probably the other direction. Oh, I missed that. Oh, sweet. Okay. Don't know which one that was, but cancel the other two before they get accepted. So don't care if it's a 5 link or a 6 link. It's more than enough. Trade market, send offers. We got a 6 link. Okay. Let's. There we go. Take that. And take that. Make some room.
What is it?
Alright, that's pretty good. Can't believe that happened. Let's just quickly colour it. Probably want one green. I mean, let's see. Put one. And probably onslaught. go get Onslaught. I think that's an Act 1.
Hello.
Oh, I need dexterity. Although we can also use added fire temporarily. We will be going all fizz. Now have a falling ancestral protector, and that will have added melee as well. That's in Act 2. Oh, everybody's got
I am
dialogue.
not surprised. I saw you, in my slumber, drive the darkness away. I am sorry that I did not tell you before. What I see is only what might happen, and I did not want to fill you with more confidence than would have been good for you.
Added melee. There we go. No. There we go.
I knew this strangeness would pass. Silk does not run from such things. I stand, I guard, when others shiver and shake.
Thank you for returning our reality to us. I think we've all had a glimpse of what could happen if Piety tries to harness the power of the Vaal for her own ends.
Humanity has one redeeming trait. We learn from our mistakes. You certainly gave us a scare for a bit there, but the damage doesn't seem to have been lasting. Thank you for doing the right thing.
You have made peace with our land. For now, my spear is lowered.
Right. Let's go back to town. Pick up our quest reward.
The Beatles poet could hide us spoils from Chitters, but not from us, eh? I knew you was the exile for the job. I'm sure you've been more than compensated already from Victario's stockpiles, but here's a little extra. Care of something I found under a dead man's bed. Why? Just because I like you.
So that's that done. So back to the sewers and continue on with our new 6 link. Can't believe that was so cheap. What's our damage looking like now? Blimey, 879. You can see how much of a difference that made. Oh, these things here are hideouts. So unlockable hideouts. I've already done it, so I don't need to. But they're just really small areas. They have a single rare in them.
Karui slaves were once bought and sold like pigs here.
One like you roams the land, but they are just the first of many.
Huh, cool, we got a portal gem. That's actually pretty rare. All it is literally just a portal scroll, but infinite. Although it's quite nice to have on cast on death. So if you die, it just casts a portal and you can get straight back there. The catacombs, we're not going to need to use this, but the second to last trial is in there.
I cannot carry this.
To the battlefront. So what we just picked up was for Fairgraves. We actually meet him again. I think this is pretty cool. We got multiple sides, multiple factions fighting each other. Okay, need to get this as well. The
I cannot carry this.
That's for the Dahlia quest. To the docks. This is where Fairgraves is. Hey, folks. Back in the day, this was the shit. Very good for XP. Not so great anymore, better options. But it's always the case. If it's the furthest you can realistically go in an act, it's going to be the most efficient, more or less.
I cannot carry this.
This is the portal and Fagwaves.
Now there's a familiar face. Before you say anything, yes, I did try to kill you. Inexcusable. I allowed pragmatism to overcome honor in a moment of desperation. Please accept my deepest apologies. And what do you say? Can the two of us make a fresh start? Marvelous! Now, as you've clearly noticed, the All-Flame has given me another respite from oblivion. Alas, it's a partial success only. I am neither man nor spirit, living nor dead. A state that comes with some rather frustrating restrictions. I know we've only just been reacquainted, but to put no finer point on it, I need your help. Interested, are we? Oh, splendid! In return, I have a gift or two that I may bestow upon you with a click of my translucent fingers. All you need do is furnish me with a crystal decanter and a juicy piece of fruit. Two humble items that remain agonizingly out of reach for a man in my peculiar situation. Will you look at that? The decanter spiritus. As exquisite today as when I found it all those years ago. You may fault the man, but you can't fault his craftsmanship. I'm sure you've heard of Malachi by now. Ever the heterodox, he sought otherworldly inspiration by imbibing a substance called ghost wine. For the purpose, he created the decanter spiritus. I found it on my last visit here. Liquid placed in this crystal decanter becomes quasi-apparitional in nature. I'm sure you can glean the decanter's usefulness to me. Conventional liquids simply don't hit the spot. I am one sorely parched revenant. I hid the decanter spiritus in the marketplace so as not to cause temptation for the less morally steadfast in my crew. Look to the carven heraldry there and find a lion dancing upon the waves. Emperor Chittus was stabbed in the posterior by his own Lord Mayor on the eve of the Purity Rebellion. Chittus's grieving gemlings buried him in the Imperial Gardens, and a plum tree was planted upon his resting place, so that his mourners might taste of his glory for years to come. I found that tree, and one of my men tasted its fruit. I've never seen so much agony crammed into such a brief moment. This may seem a peculiar request, but please bring me one of Chittus's plums. This current form comes with rather frustrating restrictions. It's a small improvement on my last incarnation, but I'm a man who used to poke his sticky beak into the furthest corners of the world. Now I can barely cross the road. It was no mean feat getting here from Siren's Cove, I can tell you. So here's the truth of it. I intend to sup upon mine own death. Oh, fear not. The All-Flame will resurrect me, and, with luck, will restore my full freedom. But for that to happen, I must die. And in such a manner as to excite the All-Flame to utmost ferocity. I am convinced that only the fruit of Chittus can provide a demise of sufficient tragedy. Life is full of painful choices, is it not? I visited Sarn some 30-odd years ago. Those ghasts, the Undying, you call them, scurried up from the sewers near the river and slaughtered all but a few of my most stalwart lads. Oh, they're a foul parody of humanity, those Undying. Nothing in common with a fine, upstanding revenant like myself.
I'm sure. Right, okay. One other thing I need to get here for the Gemling quest. Oh, and a passive.
This land has forgotten Karui's strength. I will remind it.
Right, I've actually got something waiting in my stash now that I'm level 30. The whole idea was that I was also supposed to have changework, but I didn't realise that I couldn't use it with them all. Right. Done this zone.
What's up?
Okay. Now if we look at rings, I have a Warden's Brand, which is a lot of damage. As entirely suits the build we're going for. Slow, but very hard hitting attacks with a chance to get a frenzy charge when you stun. So not only do we have endurance charges, but we now have frenzy charges. Okay, so there we go, we'll go that way. Fine. We do less DPS, but that's okay because we don't technically need the DPS. What I care about is that we hit once and then guarantee a stun. And when we actually have the frenzy charges, which is going to be all the time now, the reduced attack speed isn't going to matter. Okay, now where do we go? Do we have everything? Ribbon spool. Back to the battlefront.
This is the eternal way, pretty and lifeless.
I think it might be better to go with faster attacks and onslaught.
A chest of goods hides many challenges, but one goes unseen, even to the wise. A pain spirit hijacks a body, and will not be stopped by that body's demise.
notice that I've got 2 passive points. What are we sitting at now? 1.2k.
You are not a cockroach. Strange. Inundated with cockroaches I am. Black ones, 4 limbs, nasty, spiky things. Are you spiky? If so, my ribbons will pluck your spines. Malachi liked spines. Liked my spine. Pretty spine. Bejeweled and bountiful. Enough to make an empire weep. Do you weep, not a cockroach? I do. Tears are infinite. Why, on this very day I found a new reason to cry. What is that you have? Not a cockroach. My ribbon spool. Those black ones wanted them, my ribbons. Wanted to wrap the city in black ribbons. Now they are my ribbons forevermore. Forevermore. I hate forever. I could tear happy ever after from bards' bleeding tongues. You're still here, not a cockroach. Oh. Gratitude, yes. I should give you a token. Token? What token? This? Is this to your liking? The cockroaches will come again. They want the twist. That cockroach emperor. The other bugs shout his name. Revisius. Cross the river, squash the emperor cockroach in his nest. The bridge. It is barricaded. That spawns a tricky question. Questions. I asked too many questions. Chit has told me so. I asked where it all went. Our feculence. He made them show me. Under the river. The sewers from this side to that. Filthy, fetid tunnels like a rower's cloaca. A black place. Crawling with the undying. Once beautiful and arrogant gemlings, now the foul waste of the Empire. Fitting, isn't it? Apt. I like you, not a cockroach. I like that you listen. It would annoy me if the Undying murdered you. Formetic sulfite. That's what you need. You have some already. You are a resourceful humbug now, aren't you? Give it to me. I was all eyes and ears when Malachi worked. I will make something of your formetic sulfite. I will forge an infernal talc that will bring the most furious of light to the undying darkness. A dash of arcanity, a pinch of insanity, a whisper of profanity, and the infernal talc is now ready. It's the most explosive of powders. A sprinkle, the gentlest of dustings of infernal talc will provoke gems to a molten rage. For the undying, the very sun will rise within their flesh. They will burn for their sins, not a cockroach. They will burn. I loved Malachi. He gave me gems, divine jewels for his gemling queen. For his dead queen. But I didn't want me dead. Malachi begged. For him, for the Empire. I chose me. Selfish me. The Empire died, and I live. I live, and live, and live, and live. I was the Emperor's favorite for a time. But Chitus had many favorites. He filled the scepter of God with favorites. Every now and then, he cleared away the clutter. Those who pleased him, they were given to his lords and generals. Those who did not were given to his thaumaturgists. I talked too much, asked too many difficult questions. I was gifted to Malachi, my dear, troubled Malachi.
Tear down the walls that imprison the mind. That is what the gems do. That is their true virtue. The moment my fingertips brushed the cool, silken plains of that fast gem, I felt it. My skull ached as if its contents were growing, pressing against the bone, searching for a way to break free. That night, once the wine had dulled the pain enough to allow the onset of sleep, the dreams began. I have not been without them since. Nor would I be. Every spark of thaumaturgy that I wield, every device that I forge, every creature that I transfigure, I owe to these lessons cloaked in nightmare. From whence do these precepts hail? Certainly not the mundane grey between my ears. I possess only one reference that bears faith. Translated with unquestionable clarity by that idiot savant, Isius Perandus, the beast. Duriani of the Val knew the truth. Soon now, so shall I. Malika.
Okay, just before I do that, or continue on, I'm actually going to change the links. I'm going to get Onslaught and possibly faster attacks.
Watch yourself.
That's much better.
Hello.
Right, that was the reason I didn't have Onslaught. Damn it. So we can get it here. Bloody hell, come on, just 2 green. There we go. Right,
What little help I can offer is...
You are well? Greetings.
Okay, now I think we can just use some regrets.
I greet you.
So you give a gem and a regret, gives you the one. Yeah, it just resets it. There you go. It's a bit more manageable now, I think. And Onslaught gives us movement speed as well. Right, this is the fizz one that I mentioned in my last video. The fizz crafting recipe. Black fizz.
You've forgotten your place, Karui slave. Let me remind you.
My money is gone.
Who do you fight for, Exile?
Oh, got cold.
Piety, you are truly Kitava's slave, a daughter of corruption.
Okay, now I think we're gonna head downwards. Not only that, we can put on the other belt, finally. Since we now have 200 strength. Oh, it just occurred to me that it gave a whole load of strength. Lol. Sizable upgrade. Anything interesting here? No. If there's any better actual better weapons for us. I can't remember the progression for melee leveling really. It's been so long. One second, I'm just doing a little Google search. Oh, excuse me. Nothing spectacular from the looks of it, not for a while. Okay, let's just continue on. Not a very nice place.
You've done your ancestors proud, Karui. Now, here's your warrior's death.
My mana is gone.
Wherever he is, I'm sure Tolman knows what you've done. I know you didn't do it for him, or for me. It doesn't matter. Piety's reign of cruelty is over. Thank you. Maramoa, I've heard that the Karui have this philosophy. Makanui, the way of the warrior. I don't think you could get any more Makanui than her. She took it upon herself to look after me, before Tolman arrived. Saved my skin more than once. I'm fine with that. Beats being on her bad side. Hagen likes to think he was my kind old uncle back in Theopolis. Granted, the work he gave me saved my parents and I from starvation. This was after my father lost the family fortune at the card table, and we had to give up the manor in the country for a flea box in Theopolis. But he's not half as generous as he makes out. When Hagen gives you something, you can be damned sure that he's getting his pound of flesh in return. No one should have to go through what Grigor has. I help him as much as he'll let me, but he's a proud one, and so he should be. He's survived what has destroyed too many of us. Gravicius dined with us once. This was before my father's gambling debts caught up with him. I dined with him again in Theopolis prison the night before my exile. He wasn't so polite that time. Thank you. That's one memory I can now put to rest. On the fall of the Empire, the historians are deathly silent. After the Purity Rebellion, the Kingdom of Kaon blockaded Oriath, preventing any trade or correspondence with the mainland. It's said that Kaon planned to invade. Only when the Karui retreated did Oriath get any news from Rayclast, but by that time there wasn't really anyone left to tell the tale. I know. So strange that stone and metal should move and live as you and I. Still, I read that Chitis's sculptors used to soften their materials with thaumatic sulfite, a byproduct of gem refining. It's the only connection that I can fathom between the cataclysm and the living sculptures of San. Chitis thought that the gemling was the pinnacle of human progress. These glorious gems have brought us within spitting distance of godhood, he once said. The High Templar at the time, Vol of Thebris, thought they were a perversion. He wanted the Empire made pure, cleansed of the stain of thaumaturgy. You look at San and tell me which one you think was right. And while you're out there, look out for monkeys. No, not those bloody monkeys from Frisia. These ones are painted on the walls. I think you'll find them enlightening.
The Gemling Queen? She's... impossible. How did she survive? Why is she not one of the Undying? No, these questions can wait. There's a more pressing one. Is she safe from the Ebony Legion? You've been busy. With the spool back where it belongs, the ribbons should be able to keep the Ebony Legion at bay. We've both seen what they can do to a man. Whether you were saving your own skin or thinking of others, it matters little to me. You succeeded where I did not. You have stood in the presence of the Gemling Queen. I can only hope to meet her in my nightmares. Piety dies amongst her abominations, her warped dream taunting her, maddeningly out of reach. As a poet, I'm fond of that creed of justice. Here, the executioner needs recompense. Unfortunately, Piety was simply a puppet of a greater force. You've cut the strings, but the master remains. Dominus. That key you've picked up, I heard the blackguards talk of it. It's the one key to the Scepter of God on the northern edge of the blackguard encampment. Only Piety was permitted to carry it. Dominus accessed his laboratory at the summit of the tower via a pulley system rigged to the outside wall. That way will be barred to you, and I heard of no one, not even Piety, going in or coming out of the lower levels. Go with care, Exile. I can't imagine what's inside that tower if even Piety and Dominus feared to tread its steps. Maramoa's sure of herself, and that kind of surety gets you killed in Sarn. You and all those around you. Hagen's got the right idea. Don't believe in...
Oh, damn.
I wouldn't rely on Hagen in a fight, and I wouldn't put too much faith in what he says. But he has one highly useful asset. His obsession with self-preservation. If Hagen deems you of use in keeping his fat self alive, he'll do almost anything for you. When Piety was experimenting on me, my consciousness was mercifully fleeting. In those moments of numbing darkness, I met a presence. Intelligence, power, immensity beyond the limits of my pitiable mortal senses. To this creature, I was but a raindrop falling into the sea. I heard Piety speak to her lackeys of the beast. It is the source of her thaumaturgy and the object of her ambitions. I believe Piety's beast and that dark entity are one and the same. Wherever it is, whatever it is, the beast is the cause of my malformation. It would not be a stretch of reason to consider the beast the source of all malformation in Rayclast.
You are the true spirit of the Makoru, the shark. Not the cowardly beast that sinks its teeth into the lonely swimmer. You strike the Waikoama, the canoe, spilling a feast of men into the water. Hunters turned hunted, that you dine on at your pleasure. Have this, Makoru.
Ooh, okay.
You have claimed the most worthy of prey, Makoru. Piety, the mistress of corruption. I'm not saying the war is over, but you've given Rayclast a much-needed respite. Because of you, this land lives to see another dawn. And don't forget that you've done Grigor a justice of some magnitude. He will wish to speak to you. Hagen is a man of many claims, and those claims seldom dance harmoniously together. A lie is a death sentence in Namakanui, so I was raised a daughter of truth. Hagen is a son of self-interest. He's no warrior, nor spirit singer. He's a korangi. I don't know the right word in Oriathan, but in Karui it means he who wins wars with false promises. Citizens of the San that was, the Undying have been around for hundreds of years. Left to their own devices, they'll likely survive for hundreds more. Still, they're not immune to mortality's touch. They can be killed, with some difficulty.
Piety's off to meet the Maker, is she? I'd love to be a fly on the wall of that little chat. Stay out of the shadows. They bite. You've done for Gravicius? If only I could get a word to that lad I smuggled away from the General's wife at the time. The good widow would need a sympathetic shoulder to cry on.
Right, I think I'm going to actually try doing the lab now. And I'm going to replace my ancestral protector with that.
Justice will prevail.
Okay, this should be a bit better. I can kill him far easier. I think I have almost like double the amount of damage and more health. Some rubber banding.
The weary traveler draws close on things that slumber should never be awoken. No two battles are alike.
My mana is gone.
Run away.
Leadership is a life sentence. By the goddess, what ambition!
Okay, that one a lot better.
Emperor who sits alone on his throne.
Continue searching. Down here. Died to bleed there. Okay, I have to be really careful.
When the time comes to strike, an emperor strikes without hesitation. An emperor is only as efficient as those he commands. Honor your name. Such resilience. limits remain. Misery loves company, I suppose.
Okay, it's going to be a bit more powerful in the final fight, but I'm not too worried about that, since I think I can do more than enough damage to him. No. Continue looking. There we go.
An aspirant can afford to be promising. An emperor must keep those promises. The Empire awaits you with open jaws.
My mana is gone.
There is no escape. Your destination is more dangerous than the journey, Ascendant.
Done.
Before your Emperor, you are worthy. Before the Goddess of Justice, you are worthy. Receive our blessings, embrace our gifts, and rise, Ascendant. What divides the conqueror from the conquered? Perseverance.
Okay, so we are going to do unflinching into unyielding. Doesn't do a lot for us at the moment, but eventually we're going to start to get huge amounts of area. that's where the trial is. And that's the plum. Out of here quickly. We are going to go back to Fairgraves. Quickly finish that off.
Look at the sheen on that plum. Is it not the most delectable fruit that you've ever seen? No? Perhaps the gloss of hope is for my eyes only. Wondrous! Nothing bonds two souls more soundly than murder. For that reason alone, I knew you could be relied upon. Now, for a little amateur vintnering. A quick squeeze of the plum, like so, into the decanter. Oh my! Look how it transmutes the juice so swiftly, from material to spectral. Effortless. And what an aroma. Imminent death never smelled so sweet. I believe I shall call this fine concoction the Imperial Nightcap. Now, before I get too carried away, there's the small matter of your recompense.
Oh, they are like the lowest rolls possible. Okay.
A toast to swift endings and promising new beginnings. Oh, and you might want to avert your gaze once I have quaffed this diabolical brew. I doubt that my return to solidarity will be a pretty one. Right. As I used to say in the love dens of Trathus, bottoms up, girls! Oh my. Now that's an unusual sensation. Oh dear. Something is amiss. The Allflame. It's... No. No. It's gone out. What am I... What are you? No. You cannot be. I will not...
To live too long is to live in pain.
Oh my.
I think he be deaded. Okay, so there's two more things to do. Kill Dominus, but there's also another quest line called the Library, which is to the left here.
The ancestors. It has been so long since I saw my own kind in the flesh. My name is Yosef Wang, and I have the bleak honor of being the sole scholar to the Imperious Intellection, this grand repository of knowledge you... In more mundane circumstances, it would be preposterous to ask this of you, an utter stranger, but given that I don't know in which century I might see another pair of flesh and bone hands, there's a door, you see, concealed behind the shelves. It leads into the archives. That's where Isius Perandus concealed his golden pages. Can you see how maddening that would be for me? No, of course you can't. Ridiculous of me to... Suffice to say that they are beyond my reach. 4 Varlish texts they are, of priceless historical insight. Please, find my friend's golden pages and bring them to me. You will be rewarded. I vow it before the ancestors.
Okay, simple enough.
I am honored to serve you, my ancestor.
There's a simple fetch quest.
ancestors. It's good to see fresh words in front of me. Now, my translation skills are not what Isius were. I can achieve a meager paraphrase at best. But a little knowledge is better than none, is it not? Let us begin. This tapestry of truth is a threadbare cloth indeed, but at least you have allowed me to begin the first few stitches in its restoration, and to settle the memory of a dear friend. In return, allow me to give you this, a little practical wisdom to improve your lot.
Right, some more support gems. And now I think we're going to go back to an all-red setup. Screw the attack speed. Give me Wonder Beak swing.
Need some help?
Okay, let's go kill Dominus and finish Act 3.
Karui do not hide in towers built of fear.
Okay, finally there. What do we want to do first? what? I'm going to actually refund all that. I'm going to do it a different way. Oh, bugger. No. That way.
I exiled an animal. Now you almost resemble man. Come with me. Seen the true face of God, Exile? This world is an illusion, Exile.
The Empire dies with you, Dominus. The Karui will never again be slaves.
You have mounted the summit of the Empire, not a cockroach. You have crushed the bug Emperor and wiped his maggot dreams from the skin of Rayclast. Dominus exiled you, naked and alone, unto the palm of death. But you would not die, would you? No. No. You cuddled death, promised it the world, made it your conquest, and so generously shared it with all your fleeting friends here in Rayclast. Not once did you forget what you were. Not a cockroach feeding on the corpse of a dead empire, like the pest you crushed as you walked. A man. The sort of man that planted the seed of this empire right here in Sam so long ago. What teetering and twisted life it still holds dear, this land owes to you, marauder. Of course, there will be more. You know that, don't you? Emperors. Avaricious little pests scrabbling to steal the legacy of their betters. Unless we burn that legacy, sear its infection from the flesh of existence. Go north, my lovely unbug. Go to Highgate, to the beginning of the end. Dive headlong into the nightmare sea. Catch and roast yourself a nice big fishy.
Okay then. Now, the aqueduct, I think, is the first place you can actually farm for tabula rasa.
Follow a dead river to the foot of Kitava's kingdom.
Might be wrong.
Just how the elders at home told it.
there we have it. We are now in Act 4. Oh, wow, that took a fair bit of time, although I think that's because I tried doing the lab first and I googled something. Okay, so thanks for watching. Give it a thumbs up if you liked it. Any questions, put them down below. And have a good day.